So we're going to start, sit comfortably. You all know, hey, actually, we need a strap. Do you have one, Kelly, already?
Yeah.
You guys mind if I bring one?
I do. Thank you all day long.
There you go. So if you're watching at home too, we need a strap today. But first, let's just sit comfortably. Let ourselves stretch our legs out if we need to, or cross our legs, and just enjoy being able to sit up nice and tall, watching your breath coming in and going out. And enjoy feeling that sense of length of your spine very easily, and your sitting bones reaching down towards the ground. You can start to let go through your jaw and your face. So let everything soften and relax all around your eyes and all around your mouth. Gradually start to circle your torso in one direction. Doesn't matter which way, because we'll reverse in a second, but just let the breath carry you. Let your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. Circling as big or as small as you like. So, I mean, if it feels very good to make those circles bigger, do it. If it feels better to stay really small, do. We're going to stop in reverse direction, so when you're ready, let yourself come into the other direction with those circles. Now the next time that you come forward, let yourself stay forward. You're welcome to put your hands wherever you need to give you support. You can walk as far out with your hands as you choose to, or you can stay up higher. It's really up to you. Just be mindful. Feel how your back feels. Let it feel really good to stretch out the back, and feeling your hips. Trying to let your head hang and release. And then we'll come up enough to walk over towards our right. So you come out over that right thigh. And I'm going to mirror you today. So take your time there. Take a breath there. Draw your left sitting bone back a little bit. It'll be off the floor probably, but just draw it back. Find a little more in your side waist there. And then come back through center. Walk on back through with your hands to center and over to the other side. And then again, you can stay up as high as you want, but just feel that right sit bone drawing back a little bit so you feel just a little more through the side waist. And then we'll make our way back into center again and walk ourselves all the way on back upright, releasing our hands on out to the floor beside us here now. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. From here, just turn your head to look to the right. Keep your chin about parallel to the floor if you can. Try not to let your left shoulder come around with you. And then lower your chin down a little bit so that you're looking down towards the ground. Just kind of out a little bit just to release through the side of the neck. And then bring your chin back parallel to the floor. And we'll come on back around to center with the head and keep on going to turn your head to look to the left. And then Again, letting the chin come down a little bit, finding a little bit different stretch. It'll be different for everybody where you feel it the most, that's for sure. And then rise the chin back up more parallel to the floor. And turn your head on back into center again here now. Let's keep our hands together and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on out like wings. And then just walk your hands a few inches back, right? So you're still up on your fingertips. Draw your chest a little bit forward. Feel really easy about where you look. You may want to stay with your gaze forward. You might want to look up a little bit. That is up to you. Be mindful of how it feels in your neck, your throat. And then come on back upright. Bring your hands up a little bit. Circle the hands around one direction and then the other. And then just shake your hands out a little bit. Really shake them. Really feel very loose all the way into your fingers. And we are going to switch the cross of our legs. So if you need to stretch your legs out before you bring your other leg in front, do. And then we'll come on around into those circles again. Letting yourself feel the breath moving you. Letting your exhales carry you forward and your inhales carry you back. Just connecting with that breath. And when you are ready to switch directions, you get to stop where you want to stop and reverse directions. And the next time again that you end up forward, let yourself stay forward. And you can bring your hands down to give you support. You may feel like you want to walk your hands out. I mean, some people like to walk their hands way, way, way out and then allow their head to release down. Some people like to keep up higher, you know, keeping that longer back. Just be really mindful how you feel in your hips and your back. And we'll come all the way on back up, letting yourself rise up, hands on out onto the floor beside you. And let's inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead and come on over into a side stretch. So let your palm face forward here for a second. And just kind of spread your fingers nice and wide and feel that palm facing forward. Let yourself breathe into the right ribs. And then rise on back up, and we're going to go to the other side. So as that left arm comes up, face your palm forward if you can. Spread the fingers nice and wide, and let yourself enjoy breathing into that left side. And then we'll rise on back up, lower our arms down behind us a little bit, stretch our legs out in front of us. Good. And then just circle through your feet a little bit. Circle one direction, then the other, however you want to. They can go the same, or they can go opposite, or you can do little wiper blades with your feet if you want. Kind of just play around, shake out a little bit. And then do some little leg bounces. Let yourself just bounce your legs a little bit. And then we'll come on out into sitting nice and tall into our staff pose. So your heels are on the ground, your hands are right beside you, palms facing down, lengthening up through the top of your head. So really feeling like your spine is supporting you, right? The belly is engaged, you're lengthening up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. Just come on around into a twist. Feeling that twist in the middle of your back. Drawing your sitting bones down. Feel that zip up of your low belly. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and go all the way into the other direction. So again, feel that sense of heels on the floor, lengthening up through the top of your head. That twist in the middle of your back. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself release back around into center. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees from here. So if you know you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. You're more than welcome to put a blanket underneath your knees. Take your time to use a blanket under your hands if you feel iffy in your wrists. Or come down to your forearms if that's even better. So just move through. And to really take your time. If you feel like when you get into your cat or your cow, if you feel like kind of moving in the cat or the cow, do. Like sometimes I like to come to cat and let myself just move a little forward and back. So I shift my shoulders and hips forward a little bit and then back. Sometimes it feels really good. And if I come into cow, sometimes same thing. I like to shift a little bit. Or I even like to wag my tail a little bit in the cow, right? So just be mindful. In other words, just move really naturally. If you're like, no, I don't like to move, I like to just flow through cat-cow, then do that. Enjoy. Good, and then finish off the one you're on. Come back to more neutral spine here. And let's bring our right arm up off the floor so it's parallel to the floor at first. So you're just looking towards your right hand, right out from your shoulder. Now, if it's okay to lift the hand higher and higher, do. And then when you're ready, bring it on down. Thread the needle with that right hand coming behind the left wrist and come on down to the left side of your head. Now, you can keep your left hand right there by your face, or you can reach the arm forward if that feels good in your shoulders. So be mindful. Just let yourself wake up there now into the shoulders. Feel that space between the shoulder blades on your back. Feel your breath coming into that space between your shoulder blades. And then we'll bring that left hand back if it's overhead so we can press straight back up to all fours. And then get your hand set and start to look to the left. Left hand comes out from your shoulder. You can stay right there. Or you can lift it up towards the ceiling if you want. And then on the next exhale, come on down to thread that needle. Coming on through and to the left side of your head. Right hand can stay just right there in front of your face. Sometimes that feels good to press into it a little bit. Or you can reach it long too, overhead. Just be mindful, feel the breath, wake up the shoulders. Good. One more breath here. And then bring your right hand back by your face if it's not already. Press your way on up. And now come onto your forearms and let your palms face down like you're doing Sphinx. But shift your hips back a little bit and let your heart melt down towards the ground just a bit. And then let yourself release to come back up to your hands and knees. Come forward. And shift your hips forward a little bit. You don't have to do a full cobra or anything. You can just let yourself shift just a little farther down with the hips. Only if it goes far as feels good. You don't have to look forward or anything. You can just let your hips shift a little bit, coming in a little bit to finding a little bit of a back bend. And then we're going to shift back with our hips. And we're going to step our left foot forward and come into a lunge here. So take your time as you bring yourself on into that first lunge. Get easy with the length of your stance, where you like your hands to be, what height. Opening up the back of that right leg, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Good. And let's switch our legs, so it doesn't matter how you do that, whether you like to step forward or back or put knee or knees down, whatever works to get to the other side. Finding that alignment of that front knee and coming into opening up the back of that left leg. Good. Let's switch again. So this time, once you get really comfortable in the length of your stance and you've got that front knee bent safely, bring your left hand up to your left hip. Add just a little twist. Just keep your hand down on your hip or your low back, just to wake up a little bit here into this twist. And then bring your hand on back down, and we're going to switch again. So once you get, again, the length and width, the bend of that front knee the way you want, bringing your right hand on up to your right hip, rolling yourself into that little bit of a twist, lengthening out through the top of your head, reaching back through your inner heel. And then we'll come on back down again with our hand. We're going to step forward, making our way into standing forward bend. So, of course, use your blocks if you need them. Any other kind of support, if you'd rather put your elbows above your knees, by all means do. Be really mindful of how your back feels. And just feel the weight of your head. Let yourself enjoy accepting those full deep breaths in and out. Soft face and jaw. So if it helps you to kind of let yourself breathe in and then exhale through your mouth a couple of times, sometimes that helps release the jaw a little more. And feel the weight of your head. One more nice full deep breath here. And as we let our hands come up to our hips, we'll bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands just come right down to be in front of our chest. Coming into mountain pose here now. Spreading your fingers out a little bit. Have a really soft connection with your hands if you can. So feel almost like the hands are just barely touching, right? So it's very soft connection, but you're very aware of your fingers, your thumbs touching, the palms, whatever part of them are touching. And then let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Separate your hands. Now you can go into a wider V, or you can have your hands closer right above your shoulders if you want. Let yourself find mountain with arms overhead. Feel the feet in the floor. Feel the four corners of your feet. Float your toes up for a second without looking. Let yourself feel those four corners of the feet into the floor. And then softly lower the toes back down. Take a nice inhale, mountain with arms overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees. Let your arms be like wings as you fold forward into your standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Lengthen out through that spine. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So first dog. Be easy. Take your time. Walk if you need to. Let your elbows hug towards each other. Feel really good in your dog. Feel your whole body, really. Feel the feet pressing away from each other like you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet, and then feel your elbows hugging in towards each other like you're holding something there between your elbows. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. Nice and strong. Engage your belly. Feel your sitting bones reaching for your heels. And to lower down, you're welcome to put your knees down or come through a full push-up, right on down slowly to the floor. And let's come into a Sphinx with our elbows under our shoulders. Spread the fingers wide with the palms facing down. Actually look at your hands and kind of get them as evenly placed as you can. Sometimes one hand wants to turn out more than the other or in more than the other. Try to get them almost like your pointer fingers are parallel to each other. One more breath here. And now as you lower down, bend your knees, bring your hands back by your chest. And then from here, press up through a half push-up. See if you can stay there with your knees bent. Push yourself back up to a half plank here. And then go ahead and lower your toes down and reach back into a downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit in your dog. If you like to wag your tail around, do that too. Be really easy and mindful. Let your head turn side to side if that helps you too. Good, and then we'll bring the right foot forward to come into lunge, and however you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend, feet right underneath us. Right to your breath. You know, get comfortable. If you like holding your elbows, you can, or if you'd rather use support, you can put your elbows above your knees or put hands on your blocks. Let go here again if you can to find that heavy head. Feel the backs of the legs just naturally opening up. Remember, it's fine to bend your knees in Uttanasana. You do want to make sure you're not locking your knees. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet as we rise up and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands up a little higher than our head. And then bring your hands behind your head. Clasp your hands. Press the back of your head into your hands. And then from there, just lift one elbow up a little higher. Let the other one go down lower. Come into a little bit of side stretch, but really support your head there. And then come on back up to the top, and we're going to go to the other side. So the other elbow lifts up. The other one goes down. Feel a little lift through that side you're stretching. And then come all the way on back up. Bring your gaze forward. Press the back of your head gently into your hands. And then release now to stretch your arms overhead. Mountain with arms overhead. Turn the palms to face each other. One more inhale. If you like to look up at the ceiling, do. And on the exhale, bend your knees. Fold forward from your hips, coming into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale, left foot back this time to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Spreading those fingers wide. Hugging the elbows a little towards each other. Pressing the feet a little away from each other so you really feel your hips and your shoulders. Good. On the next inhale, come on out towards that plank. Nice and strong. And again, you can lower down however you need. You can put your knees down, go through half plank. You can go down through a full plank. But now come up to your fingertips. So you're just on the tips of your fingers. They're still right there by your chest. And on your next inhale, float your head and your chest up a little higher. And then see if you can let your hands come off the floor. You're really using your back body here. And then softly lower the hands back to the upper chest. And if you want to keep pressing into your hands and come up higher into Cobra, you can. Totally up to you. You know that. Just be mindful about it. Stay low if you need. One more breath. And we're going to shift back towards pose of a child, bringing our big toes together. Knees separate as much as you want. Once you're there, walk your hands over to the right. So, you know, your hips can be up in the air higher, or you can be back with your hips towards your heels. But walk your hands to the right till you find a nice stretch through the left side of the body. And then just stay there and breathe into your left ribs. And then walk back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So again, once you get kind of comfortable, your head might be hanging or you might have your head on the floor. Just breathe into that side you're stretching. Let it feel good to expand the ribs with your breath. And then we'll come back into center with the hands. Let yourself take a breath here in your child's pose with your arms overhead. And let your next inhale carry you on back up to all fours. Curl your toes under and reach back into downward facing dog pose. And we will bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And you know, you can put your right knee down to get there, or both knees if you need to. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. And just be with your breath. Whatever you need to do to support, but let the most important thing be to just stay with watching your breaths. All the way in and all the way out. to our hips from here. Press into our feet and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms. Bring our hands behind us here. And just move a little bit here with the breath to let the shoulders open a little more. So when you inhale, let your hands come a little away from wherever they're touching back there. And when you exhale, let them release back down. And really let them hang when you release back down for a breath. So inhale, bring the arms and the hands away. Exhale, let them come back down. And now just totally relax. Feel the weight of your arms. And then one more time. Inhale as far as you can get the arms away from you. And when you exhale, let them come right back down to touch. And then try to just let the arms go. Good. Take a nice inhale with the arms just hanging there. And as you exhale, bend your knees, come forward. Stay about parallel to the floor with your torso. Bend your knees as much as you need. You've got a flat back here. And from there, hug your elbows up towards the ceiling a little bit. Your hands are staying on you, and you're just hugging your elbows upward. One more breath. And then release the elbows. If you want to fold over your legs, you can. And if you want to bring your arms off your back, that's up to you. Now, press your feet into the mat. Imagine you're trying to press them away from each other like you're trying to make your mat wider. But don't roll on your feet when you do that. In fact, lift your toes up. Make sure you're not rolling to the inside or the outside of the feet. And then we'll release our arms on down. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale, right foot back to come to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into that downward facing dog pose. Let your inhale bring you out to your plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhale into that cobra of choice. And exhaling back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top with your breath. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again. Inhale, find that nice long back. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into down dog. Inhale your way out to your plank. Exhale your way as you come on down. And inhale into that cobra of choice. Exhaling back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees. Rise all the way up to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come into down dog however you want to get there. So place your hands. You can jump, you can walk. Take your time. Get acclimated in your dog. Wiggle around if you want. Good. One more breath. Just really letting your dog settle in. And from here, we'll bring our left foot forward. And we're coming up for Warrior Two, and you might want both your blocks handy here. So let yourself get your heels in line. Bend that front knee. Get really mindful of that front knee being comfortable there. And then just bring your hands behind you for a second and interlace your fingers. If you feel better, you can just hold a wrist, right? Kind of get really comfortable with what you feel to do with your hands back there. But see about coming into a couple of 3-part breaths. So you're inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, all the way up into your chest. Feel that you're comfortable in the turn out of that back foot. Remember, it's about parallel to the back edge of your mat. Kind of draw your right shoulder back so you feel real open across your chest here. And then we'll release our hands. We're going to float our arms on up into Warrior Two arms, bringing our gaze right out over the top of that left hand. Reaching equally out through both sets of fingertips, softening the shoulders down. Now feel your feet in the floor equal too, so you feel your hips feeling very balanced. And from here, we'll turn that left palm up. We're going to lower the right hand down and inhale, reach up towards the ceiling or even back behind yourself into Reverse Warrior. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle, bringing our left hand or forearm to our thigh, swinging that right arm up in line with the right side of the body if you choose to. Drawing that outer left hip back, finding that length now through both sides of the body. So your spine is really long. Good, one more breath here. Now turn to look at the floor, right? And we're going to place our left hand where we like to for triangle. So I like to use a block. You might want to put it on your leg. But as you straighten your left leg out, kind of watch it as it straightens. Let that right arm just continue up from your shoulder if you can. You know, if your shoulder bothers you, put your right hand on your hip. And then start to turn your gaze to look towards that long edge of your mat, coming into your triangle pose. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips, and imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet, so your feet are pressing away from each other, but your thighs are lifting upward. And then there's all that length in your spine as well. Good, one more breath. Now we're going to turn to look back down at that left foot, let your neck release. And then bring your right hand on down, maybe to a block, because all we're going to do from here is walk around into a wide-legged forward bend. You may want to take blocks, or you may decide I'd rather have my hands on the floor. So adjust your feet once you kind of get around. Go ahead and start to bend a knee at a time. Just enjoy coming into those inner thighs. Let it feel really good. And then bend both knees and walk your hands out so that you have a nice flat back. I like to use the blocks, but you can have your hands on the floor. And if you can come into a little bit straighter legs do, but don't force it. Find that nice length of the spine, and then bring your right hand on up to your right hip and roll that shoulder up, coming into the hand palm down onto your sacrum back there. And then we'll bring that hand on back down. We're going to switch. So the left hand will come up, palm down on the sacrum. You can roll that shoulder up. Try to stay level there, right where your hand is, so you're not dropping into that right side. And then come on back down again. Good. And from here, adjust your way into where you'll be comfortable to stay in your pose for a few breaths. You might want to stack blocks up. You might want to use blocks under your hands, your forearms, maybe your head. Or you might just want to hang. You know, some of you might want to let your head come down and bring your hands back towards between your feet. So just be really mindful. Find a place where you can stay to be with your breath. Feeling those huge movements through the ribs. When you inhale, the ribs expanding in all directions. And then when you exhale, it's a little more subtle when the ribs just come back in. Good. One more nice full deep breath here. And we are going to walk our hands back out. We are going to walk back over to that left foot to come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way from here back into downward facing dog pose. So take your time. Once you're in your dog, walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times if you can. Let yourself release through your feet. And then come back to your full dog and just walk a little bit now normally, bending one knee at a time. Let it feel really good and enjoy turning your head a little side to side too, just so it feels really good to feel that ease of releasing through your neck. Good, and now we're going to come out to plank. See if you can lift your right foot a little off the floor, a little three-legged plank. And then bring the knee in towards your chest a little bit. And then stretch back into that three-legged plank. And put the right foot down. And lift your left foot up. And bring that knee in a little bit, like down towards the floor. And then bring it back up. 3 legs, and put it back down. Good. Let's lower down. Knees first if you need, all the way down. And from here, let's come up into an up dog if we can. Now, you can keep the tops of the feet on the floor. You can curl your toes under. Try to get your knees off the floor. And then we're going to lower all the way back down to the floor. And we're going to come back to down dog however you choose to get there. Making your way back into your downward facing dog pose. If you want to do any more vinyasas or kriyas, go for it. If you're happy just to rest in dog or take your time to do any other kind of movement, do. Good. And then we're going to meet back in down dog so that we can bring our right foot forward and come up for warrior 2 on the other side. So again, have your blocks handy there. Bend into that right knee. Take your time. Get aligned there with your knee. Start to get your hands behind you, whether you like to, again, interlace your fingers, or maybe you like to hold one hand, one wrist with the other hand. Whatever feels the best, really, so that you can imagine coming into those 3-part breaths. So inhaling into the belly, and then the ribs, and then up into your chest. Good. And then we'll release, let our arms float down and then up. And it's like they're floating, reaching out through the fingertips, softening down through the tops of the shoulders, bringing your gaze out over the top of that right hand. Feeling your whole body in space. Feeling that sense of being very balanced from right to left, both in your feet, your legs, your hips, your shoulders, your arms, and your hands. And we're going to lower the left arm down, turn the right palm up, and inhale, reach up towards the sky. You can reach back behind yourself if you want. Full breath into the right side. And on your exhale, come on into that side angle. So again, you know, it can be your hand on your forearm or your forearm onto your thigh. That's up to you. And if you want to add the left arm up, you can add it up in line. You can, if you want, keep your hand on your hip. The other thing, of course, is to have the arms straight up. So if your shoulder bothers you, you've got to find what feels good to you, to be using your shoulder a little bit, but without pain, right? So find that length through both sides of the body. Draw that outer right hip back a little bit. Good. Now turn to look down at your right foot there. Take whether a block or whatever you like to use under your hand, your leg for your triangle there. And straighten that leg out now. So you are really extending your torso right out over that long right leg. And you can turn to look towards the long edge of your mat. You can even turn to look up if you want, towards your hand up there. You know, if your shoulder bothers you, again, you can put your hand on your hip. You don't have to use the arm. Triangle pose. Beautiful. One more breath. And now turn back to look down at the floor. Bring your left hand down. And from here again, we're going to walk around. Now, once you start walking around to your wide-legged forward bend, and you adjust your feet, get adjusted, keep going over towards your left foot. So, you know, you can go as far as you want. You can hold the outside of your foot or your ankle, or you can have your blocks over there in front of your foot. But just stay there for a breath. Feel the right foot pressing a little more away from the midline so you're aware of that inner thigh kind of tightening up a little bit. And then come back through center. We're going to walk over to the right. Again, you can have your hands on your blocks. You can go all the way to your foot. You can press again. Once you get settled, press that left foot a little more away from the midline just so you can feel that inner thigh tightening up a little bit. Good. One more breath. And then come on back into center again. And go ahead and adjust. If you need to adjust how wide you are, or you need to wiggle around a little bit, or bend your knees, take your time. Set yourself up again to be with your breath. You may want to do something different than you did on the other side. You know, sometimes blocks are great for forearms, for hands, or for heads. You know, sometimes it's fun to support your head instead of having it hang. So you can experiment a little bit, play a little bit with finding a really good way to be. And then once you kind of settle in where you can stay, you really want to try to allow that upper body to let go. You know, you're supported from your feet up through your legs to your hips, obviously, because you're standing up, but the upper body is letting go. So see if you can let your breaths even out a little bit. Inhales and exhales, becoming a little more even. You can even let your exhales get a little longer if you want. Now we're going to get ready to make our way back over towards that right foot. So take your time, let yourself come on back around into your lunge. And then when you're ready to come into down dog, just ease your way on back and walk a little bit. See if you can find your dog. And then when you inhale, rise your heels way up. And when you exhale, let them release back down. So just a couple of those, just feeling the feet, feeling the backs of the legs, just open up a little deeper every time you lower those heels down. Good, and then you're on your own. If you want to come out for a plank, you don't have to do any kind of back bend. You don't have to do vinyasas or kriyas. And remember, you can also put your knees down and rest in child's pose. So if you're feeling like you want to do something else rather than being in that dog or moving into vinyasas or kriyas, do. Good. Well, let's meet back in down dog. Take your time, let yourself find your dog again. And then this time we're going to bring our left foot forward and we're coming up for warrior one. So you may want your blocks handy. Set that back foot, to that turnout that feels really good for you when you come up and around. And this time, once you get up there and you get pretty mindful of that front knee and you feel good about the length and width of your stance, take your right hand and encircle your left wrist. So you're really just letting the back of the right hand rest there towards the middle of the back, towards your, just up a little bit from your tailbone. And then just release and breathe. Feel the feet really equal in the floor. Feel very squared off with your shoulders to the front of your mat. And then just turn to look to the right. Let yourself look over your right shoulder. And then turn the head back into center. And just turn to look over your left shoulder there. And then come on back to look in front of you again. And let's release our arms, and we're going to just rise the arms forward, turn the palms to face each other. Now you can come into a wide V if you want, or you can have your hands directly over your shoulders. Feel that uplift in the front of the body, feel the feet equal in the floor. Just enjoy one more breath here. Press those feet a little away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. One more breath. And then bring your gaze forward, but circle your arms behind you if you can. And then again, this time clasp your hands back there. And as you exhale, fold forward, bow forward over this front leg. Now you might just want to do your head and your shoulders a little bit, or you may want to fold all the way over the inside of your thigh. Some of you may want to release your hands off your back, and some of us may not, right? So you be right where you can. And then let your hands release on down to blocks or the floor. We're going to find a lunge, because all we're going to do here is add a little twist. So you can either keep your right hand grounded and bring your left hand up to your left hip, or you can stretch that left arm up overhead. Some of you may want to do twisted prayer. So if you want to bring your right elbow to your left knee and bring your hands into prayer hands, go right ahead. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release. We're going to come back down. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. And again, you are on your own. Really do what you feel like doing. If you want to open your hips, you can lift a leg up at a time. You can put your knees down. If you need to get out of that dog, do it. Be mindful of your shoulders. Good. All right, we are going to meet back in down dog though, because one more time here, we're going to bring that right foot forward. And we're coming up for that warrior one. So again, just get situated with how far apart your feet are, both the wide way and the long way. Bringing your hands behind you and letting yourself hold that right wrist with your left hand. Draw your shoulders square to the front of your mat. And be comfortable. You're going to feel an openness in the front of this left hip. If you need to shorten your stance because it's too much, do it. Take your time there, just breathe. Let yourself feel open across your chest. Good. One more breath. And then release your hands. We're going to reach the arms forward and up, palms face each other. And again, you can widen them or you can have them directly over your shoulders. Now, energy all the way up through your fingertips. Feel the feet again, trying to make your mat longer so you get really into your hips here. Energy all the way up through the fingertips. One more breath. And as you come to look forward, bring your arms on down behind you now and clasp your hands. And we're going to fold forward. Again, it might just be your head. You might just want to stay up high. You can still maybe bring your hands a little off your back. Or you might want to bow all the way over that front inner thigh, and you may want to let the arms come further off your back. Totally up to you. And then we're going to release, let our hands come down. We're going to find lunge. Remember to add that twist. You may want to have a block under your left hand. Depends on you. Right hand to the right hip. And you're more than welcome from here to rise that right arm up or put the left elbow over to that right knee. Come into twisted prayer if you'd rather. Be where you can. Nice. And then we'll come on back down with that hand. We're going to come on back into our downward facing dog pose. Finding where you want to be there. Take your time. If you need to, again, play around a little bit. Open your hips. Do it. If you need to let yourself just stay in dog for a breath, do. And then we're going to widen our feet on our mat. And then walk our hands back. Now you may decide you want to put your elbows above your knees and squat just like that. Just to let your hips and back release. Or some of you might want to put your hands on the floor and then send them around the back of your feet to the outside of your ankles. Which is a different feeling, of course, up in your shoulders. Or put your hands on the floor behind your heels and shift your hips all the way down to the floor. And some of you are like, no way, that is not going to happen. You can stay up, elbows above the knees, and get a good release that way. And of course, if you'd rather squat down, turn your toes out and your heels inward, and bring your hands in front of you into prayer hands, if that feels better. So find whatever squat feels best for your knees, your back. And then from here, we're going to bring ourselves on back up so that we get our feet underneath us. Take your time, get your feet just where you like them for mountain pose. And then bring your hands on up to your hips, press into your feet, rise on up. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And as our exhale brings our hands down, our crown of our head reaches up higher. And there we are in our mountain pose. Enjoying that feeling of energy swirling through the body and sometimes a little swaying. The head floating up there on top of your spine. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down. Shake out a little bit, move around if you need. And we're going to drag our mats to a wall. We've got lots of wall space. And once you get there, we're there to stay, so just bring everything with you. Okay, did we work off some of yesterday's meal yet?
God. No, this won't even do it.
All right, so we're going to get our strap. Actually, take your strap in your hand just for a second. And let your hand be, like to the outsides of your shoulders a little bit. And then just lift the strap up as high as you can over your head, just for fun. Just enjoy. And then let one arm come close to your head. Try not to lean your body over. Just let the arms move a little bit from side to side. If it hurts anything, don't do it. Okay? Just trying to, keep those shoulders and arms going there. And then come back to center and see if you can just let that strap go back a little ways. Don't force it. Just a little, so that you feel just a little more through the front of the chest there, the pecs. Good, and then come on down. We're going to turn with our left shoulder towards the wall. And we're going to step our right foot into our strap. So that the ball of the foot comes right there with the strap across the base of the big toe mound and little toe mound. You can put your left hand on the wall as you start to adjust your left supporting leg and bring the right leg up in front of you. Go ahead and come into a straighter leg. You can keep it as low or as high as you want. You can get that leg all the way up parallel to the floor if you want, or you can keep the leg down lower. So be mindful of how that feels. Let the left arm rise up the wall higher. See if you can balance for a breath there. And then put your left fingertips back on the wall and open your leg out to the right about 45 degrees, rotating that heel forward. And, you can let go of the wall there and balance if you choose to. You don't have to. Remember, the leg can be low. This is really, think a lot about the core, not just your legs stretching here, okay? Think about using the core of your body a lot. So one more breath there. And then bring the leg back to the front. We're going to lower it down, bend the knee. Let the strap come over our shoulder and be on the top of the foot or the ankle. And press down with the foot into the strap. Don't do anything else. Just feel your quad just from there. And then if you want to balance there, you can release again the hand off the wall. Let yourself balance there. Now it's optional from here. If you want more, if you put the hand back on the wall and you lift the right hand to be over your head holding the strap, you might be able to bring both hands to hold the strap and balance there. Right? If you're having a good balanced day, right? And then some of you I know like to come forward with your chest and back a little more with your knee. Make sure you're not locking that supporting knee. And then we'll come all the way back upright. We're going to lower that leg on down. Shake it out a little bit. We're going to turn around, take care of that leg you were standing on. If you need to pick it up, shake it out a little bit, do. Then we're going to do the other side. So, stepping, left foot into the strap. Get yourself arranged there. Hand on the wall so that when you bring that foot up in front of you, you can bend it and then straighten it a little bit. And you can adjust how high you want it. Now, try not to throw your shoulders back. So when you get into the pose, keep the shoulders over the hips. You may want to balance or you may not. You may want to send that right hand up the wall, take it off. Or you may want to hold on to the wall. That's fine. Just enjoy pressing into the strap a little bit with your foot. Good. We're going to open the leg out to the left a little bit, rotating that heel forward, finding that outward hip rotation. Again, it's not about height. Think about keeping your hips level and square. Good. And then we'll bring the foot back forward again. And then we're just going to put it down, bring it behind you, bend the knee, strap over the shoulder. And maybe it'll end up on the top of your ankle or your foot. Whichever one works, either one. Now, from here, try to just push into the strap. Try just to really push. Feel your quad engaging. You know, that might be enough. You can even keep the strap over your shoulder, I forgot to say on the other side, and go forward with your chest and back with your knee. Or you can lift the strap over your head, right? And that is totally optional. So be where you can. Remember, you're strapped up, so if you feel like you're losing your balance, be careful. Good. And then when you're ready, let yourself release and come on down. Before you lose your strap, take it one more time. Do what we did right before we started. Bring your strap to where you hold it about shoulder distance or a little wider. And then bring the strap up overhead. Feel like you're trying to make the strap longer. Pull your hands away from each other, but hug your elbows in a little bit. And then do that little bit of side to side, just letting the shoulders feel good. And then see about letting the strap go back a little bit. Maybe even a little bit further. And then slowly start to bring the strap all the way down in front of you. We're going to put it over on the floor because we're done with it, and we're going to come down onto our bellies. And we're going to have our feet back towards the wall behind us, but we're going to be forward enough to where we're not touching the wall with our feet right now when we're pointing our feet. And go ahead and find a little Sphinx pose for a breath. Just easily let your back release there. And then clasp your hands. And let's come on up into a forearm plank. Now, if you want to do a half one, you can. If you're able to do a full forearm plank, go ahead and lift your knees up and do. One more breath. And then see if you can walk your feet up towards a dolphin pose. So if you can't get into a full plank, just go ahead and come into dolphin however you need to. So that you're just waking up the shoulders a little more, pressing into the forearms, elbows hugging towards each other. Now, if you can from your dolphin, walk your feet back to the plank. That's a little bit easier than walking in to the dolphin from the plank. And then put everything down. Rest your forehead on your hands. Take a breath into your low back. Let yourself be easy there. Good. And then come back up onto your forearms. Clasp your hands together. Come back into that forearm plank. And again, try one more time if you can to walk from your plank up into your dolphin. And then walk your feet back into your plank if you can. Good. And then lower yourself on down. Shift your hips back and let yourself get your toes to touch the wall. So you might have to kind of finagle your way backward a little bit to tips of the toes touch the wall. And come on into child's pose for a breath. Let yourself be easy. Whether you like your arms overhead or maybe you want to use your hands as a pillow for your head. Or maybe you want to bring your arms back along your left side, your legs with the palms up. Whichever works to feel really released in your shoulders, in your back. Feeling the breath now. Good. And then come on forward again to your forearms. Clasp your hands, send your pinky out, and this time let's try our dolphin with our heels up the wall. So once you're in the pose where your heels are up the wall, sometimes it's easier, right? And sometimes you just can't wait to bring a leg up the wall. So if you want to do that, you can do your three-legged dolphin. You can, if any of you want to, do both feet up the wall. So, take your time, be mindful. Let it feel good. Being upside down. New perspective, I'm sure. I hate to say better perspective, but sometimes I feel like it's a better perspective to be upside down.
Yeah.
So when you're ready to rest, you rest however you need. You may feel better to rest sitting up to get your head above your heart again, and you may want to stay in child's pose. Just enjoy. Good. And now, we're going to come around to sitting, but you may want a blanket. We're going to sit with our backs against the wall. Another thing you might want is blocks, just in case. Because we're going to come into Badakanasana, sitting right at the wall. And with a blanket underneath you, if that feels better. And then also, if you feel like when you come into Badakanasana that you grip in your hips, try finding release by supporting. You know, and if your knees are naturally up high in Badakanasana, you can put the blocks up higher, right? Because we're trying to think about, instead of tensing up, and sometimes if people's knees are hanging, they tend to tense up in their hips. So you want to try, whatever helps you, to feel as released as you can in your hips, and then feel the support of the wall behind you. So you're lengthened up. Now some people's back of the head will touch the wall, and some people's won't. It depends on how you're built in your shoulders, right? So letting your shoulders release down. For a second, bring your hands a little bit away from you. Turn your palms forward and let the backs of the hands just gently come into the wall. You're going to have all these curves in your back. You're not trying to flatten your back into the wall. And then just bring your hands onto your knees. Whether you face your palms up or down is up to you, but don't push with your hands. Just let them rest. They may even feel better to come kind of in front of your knees. That's really up to you. And just enjoy letting the hips release just from sitting in the pose. Your belly's gently engaged. You're reaching up through the top of your head. Good. Now see if you can think about coming forward like you're peeling your whole back away from the wall. So that when you come forward with that long back. You don't come forward by breaking here at the waist. Instead, you come forward, and it might be like an inch, right? It might be that you're just barely away from the wall. Totally depends on you. If you feel like changing where your feet are will help too. Sometimes bringing the feet out farther away from you, where you have this bigger space, makes it easier to come forward and feel good, right? So just experiment a little bit. Let yourself do what you can. I mean, some of you might feel really good to go fairly far, letting your head hang, releasing your neck, whether your feet are in closer to you or farther away. Good. One more breath. And we're going to slowly walk ourselves up. And go ahead and stretch one leg out at a time. Let yourself still feel the wall behind you. And find your staff pose where that wall is behind you. Your hands come down. You can really draw your shoulders down and feel the wall supporting you here. So your hands are palms down towards the ground. That shape of a capital printed letter L. Good. And it's okay to bend your knees in this pose. If you feel real tight in the backs of your legs in your low back, and you feel you're kind of sitting this way with your tailbone curled up under you, bend your knees a little bit. Maybe you can send your tailbone back a little bit. And then we're going to release, and we're going to come away from the wall. So just shift your way forward, enough so that when you lie down, you're not going to bang your head in the wall. All right? And let's do just a little boat pose. Lean back a little bit, float your feet up. You may decide to stay right there. You don't have to go any further. You know, you can go longer legs if you want. You can hold your legs if that feels good so that you give yourself a little bit of support there with your hands. You can keep holding with your hands like this and keep your knees bent. Remember, we're trying not to collapse in our chest. Think about your chest coming forward. Just feel the body working there. One more breath. Now, you don't have to do this part at all. If you feel like you want to start to come into a half boat where you're lengthening your arms and legs out and really engaging your belly, you can. And you can go down a little bit lower until you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to the floor. Right? Don't do that if it hurts your back though. Once you come down, bring one knee in towards your chest, doesn't matter which one. Let the back release. And then switch legs. Extend one leg long, bring the other knee in. Good. And then bring your feet onto the floor and let yourself cross your right thigh on top of your left, thigh over thigh if you can. So instead of figure four, thighs are together. And then bring your knees in towards your chest. And then from here, bring your left arm over your right, give yourself a hug, maybe even go into eagle arm wrap. And you might even want to do the eagle leg wrap. If you're okay to hook your right foot behind your left lower leg or ankle, do it. And then from here, draw your knees and elbows towards each other. Feel how your low back collapses into the floor. And then separate them a little bit, just enough to find that natural curve. It's not very much. You'll feel that low back curve come into play. There's the core of the body, big. So one more breath here. Squeeze those thighs together. Flex the feet if you're not wrapped. One more breath. We're going to unwind everything. Put the feet on down, the arms on down beside you. Let the knees come side to side. Good. And then we're going to come back to center with the knees. Bring the left thigh on top of the right. And then draw the knees in so the feet are off the floor. Now you can just flex through both your feet right there. If you like to hook that left foot around behind the right one, do. And then give yourself right arm over, left arm a hug. So you can stay there, or you can go to your full wrap of your arms. And then pull your knees and elbows towards each other. And there's your low back, flattened to the floor, right? Well, then see if you can separate them a little bit. And what happens is that low back curve comes there. Try not to exaggerate it and feel how your belly just goes. It has to. It just tightens. So your low back, your belly, your hips are working. And there's your core. Now, at the same time, try to release in your shoulders. So try to find that core really working there, but try to let go between the shoulder blades and in your shoulders. Quite a project, actually. One more breath. And then let everything come undone again. Bring your feet to the floor. Bring your arms out beside you into like a T position, palms up. Separate your feet and let your knees come side to side. And they can go as far as you want. If you like to release your knees down towards the floor, if you're on the right side with your legs, you might want your right foot to pick up and rest right above the outside of your left knee. If you like that intense, nice opening through the front of the right hip, you can do those side to side, or you can do something else, right? So kind of be on your own for a second. Do what feels good. If you need to do a bridge pose, do a bridge pose. If you need to do a plow pose, do a plow pose. If you need to bring your legs up in the air, bring your legs up in the air. So take your time. Just be mindful and enjoy giving your body time here to do what it needs to do. So that you'll be able to be comfortable for Shavasana. I'll bring stuff, of course. I'm going to get the lights. You may want to have a blanket or under your head or for cover. You need a blanket for under your head or for cover, or both. And just take your time. Enjoy feeling the support of the ground underneath you. Letting yourself just receive your breaths in and out. When your mind wanders off, which it always does, just softly come back to your breath again and again. And as the breath quiets, the body really naturally wants to do the same thing. And just by returning to your breath, it gets easier and easier for your body just to go back to that quiet place. So just trust that your body knows what to do in order to get whatever it needs from all you just did, and allow yourself to completely and fully relax.